Captain Ethan Cole stepped off his ship onto the cold metal floor of Zelvora Station. The air smelled strange, a mix of chemicals and something else he could not identify. He had docked here many times before for supplies and fuel. The station was always busy, always loud with different alien species doing business. Ethan walked through the main corridor toward the marketplace. His boots echoed against the metal floor. Around him, merchants called out in various languages trying to sell their goods. He saw fruits from distant planets, mechanical parts, weapons and fabrics that changed colors in the light. He needed to buy food supplies for his crew. His ship, the Wanderer, was a small trading vessel. Just him and his AI companion Vera kept things running. It was a simple life and Ethan preferred it that way. After leaving the military 5 years ago, he wanted peace and quiet. The marketplace branched into different sections. Ethan knew where to find the food vendors. He turned left down a narrower corridor. Fewer people walked here. The lights were dimmer. Something felt different today, but he could not place what it was. As he walked deeper into the market, he noticed a section he had never explored before. A large sign hung above an entrance. The words were in Galactic Common, exotic proteins, rare delicacies. Ethan felt curious. He had tried many strange foods in his travels across the galaxy. He stepped through the entrance into a large room. The smell hit him immediately. It was not the clean scent of packaged food. This smelled like fear and waste. His military training kicked in and his body tensed. The room was lined with cages. Large metal cages with energy barriers glowing blue at the front. Inside the cages were living creatures. Not animals. Sentient beings. Ethan's stomach turned as he realized what he was looking at. A merchant approached him with a wide smile. The alien was a Krelian with gray skin and 4 arms. "Welcome, welcome," the merchant said in accented Galactic Common. "You look for special meal, yes? We have finest selection in sector." Ethan stared at the cages. Inside one, a reptilian being sat with its head down. In another, a small furry creature shook with fear. His throat felt dry. "These are people," he said quietly. The merchant waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "Legal livestock, all proper documents. Many species not protected under Galactic Council law. No citizenship, no protection. Very legal, very delicious." Ethan felt sick. He had seen terrible things during his military service, but this was different. This was organized, legal cruelty. He wanted to leave, to forget what he had seen. But something made him look closer at the cages. That was when he saw her. In the third cage from the left sat a young female. She was Talvexian. He recognized the species from his travels. They were feline-like, with soft fur and large eyes. This one had silver and white fur, but it was matted and dirty. She was thin, too thin. Her ribs showed through her fur. She looked up at him and their eyes met. Ethan had never seen such desperation in anyone's eyes before. The Talvexian female was young, maybe early 20s in human years. Around her neck was a translator collar, the cheap kind that barely worked. She moved closer to the energy barrier of her cage. "Sold for meat, human," she whispered. The translator collar crackled with static. "Just take me out of here." The words hit Ethan like a physical blow. She knew what she was. She knew she was scheduled to die. And she was begging him, a stranger, for help. The merchant noticed Ethan's interest. "Ah, the Talvexian. Excellent choice. Very tender meat, very rare. Her species not many left. Make price high but worth it. I give you good deal." Ethan felt anger rising in his chest. He forced himself to stay calm. "Why is she here?" he asked. The merchant shrugged. "Families sell her. Talvexians very poor now, their planet dying. Families sell children to pay debts. Very common. She fetch good price from me, I fetch better price from you." Ethan looked back at the young Talvexian. She had not moved. Her large eyes still fixed on him. He could see intelligence there, awareness. She understood every word being said about her. "How much?" Ethan heard himself ask. The merchant's eyes lit up with greed. "For you, special price. 8,000 credits. 8,000 credits. That was half of Ethan's emergency fund. Money he had saved for ship repairs, for emergencies. If he spent that money, he would be vulnerable. One bad situation and he could lose everything. But as he looked at the Talvexian, he knew he could not walk away. "I need to think about it," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the chaos in his mind. The merchant nodded. Of course. But decide quick. Big client coming tomorrow. He buy her if he not interested. He pay more but he not eat her himself. He feed her to his pets. Slow death. Very painful." The Talvexian's eyes widened with fresh fear. Ethan saw a tear run down her furry cheek. He turned and walked out of that horrible room. His hands were shaking. He made his way back to his ship without buying any supplies. Inside the Wanderer, he sat in his captain's chair and put his head in his hands. "Vera," he called out to his ship's AI. "Yes, Captain?" The smooth artificial voice responded. "Tell me about Talvexians." There was a brief pause as Vera accessed her databases. Talvexians are a humanoid feline species from the planet Talvex Prime. They possess high intelligence and empathic abilities. Their society values honor and family bonds. Currently listed as endangered species with approximately 2 million individuals remaining. They lack representation in the Galactic Council due to political instability on their homeworld. So they have no legal protection, Ethan said quietly. Correct. Without council representation, Talvexians fall under a legal classification that allows them to be traded as livestock in certain sectors. It is technically legal, though morally contested. Ethan stood and paced his small bridge. He thought about his time in the military. He thought about the people he had failed to save. Faces haunted his dreams, soldiers who had died because he had not been fast enough, smart enough, or brave enough. He had left the military to escape that guilt. He had told himself he would never put himself in a position to fail someone again. But now a young Talvexian sat in a cage, waiting to be butchered like an animal. She had looked at him with hope. She had whispered for help. And he was the only one who seemed to care. Ethan knew what he had to do. He knew it would complicate his life. He knew it might bring legal trouble from multiple systems. He knew he was risking everything he had built in his peaceful years of trading. But he also knew he could not live with himself if he did nothing. He turned toward the exit of his ship. "Vera, calculate our emergency funds." "Current emergency fund stands at 16,000 credits, Captain." Ethan nodded slowly. Half his safety net. Half his security. But what was security worth if he lost his humanity to keep it? He walked back toward the marketplace, toward that terrible room with its cages. Toward a young Talvexian named Lyra who had whispered for help. This time he would not fail. Ethan returned to the meat market with a heavy heart and a credit chip in his pocket. The same Krelian merchant greeted him with that wide, greedy smile. The room still smelled of fear and despair. The cages still hummed with their blue energy barriers. "Ah, you return," the merchant said, rubbing his four hands together. "You decide about Talvexian, yes?" Ethan looked past the merchant to the cage where the young Talvexian sat. She was in the same position as before, hugging her knees to her chest. When she saw him, her ears perked up slightly. Hope flickered in her large eyes. "I want to buy her," Ethan said, keeping his voice flat and businesslike. "But 8,000 is too much." The merchant's smile faded a little. "Price is fair. Very rare species. Very tender." Ethan forced himself not to react to those words. 6,000. Final offer. The merchant considered this. He walked over to the cage and looked at the Talvexian like she was a piece of fruit. "She little thin, maybe not much meat." "Okay, 7,000. Cannot go lower." 6,500, Ethan countered. Every credit he could save mattered now. The merchant sighed dramatically. "You drive hard bargain." Okay. 6,500. But you sign papers. All legal. You buy as cargo as perishable goods. Understand? Ethan's jaw tightened. Perishable goods. Like spoiled food or broken equipment. Not a living, thinking person. I understand. The merchant led him to a small office attached to the market room. A computer terminal sat on a dirty desk. The merchant pulled up forms and documents. You fill these. Mark purpose of purchase. Mark as food cargo. Then transfer credits. Ethan sat down and read through the forms. The language made him sick. Question after question treated the Talvexian as property, as a product. He had to select options like intended consumption date and storage requirements. His hands shook as he typed. Problem? The merchant asked, watching him closely. No problem, Ethan lied. He finished the forms and transferred 6,500 credits from his account. Half his emergency fund, gone in an instant. The merchant checked his terminal and smiled. Good. Transaction complete. I get her for you. They walked back into the main room. The merchant approached the Talvexian's cage and deactivated the energy barrier. Come. You sold now. New owner. The young Talvexian stood slowly. She was shorter than Ethan had expected, maybe 5 feet tall. Her legs trembled as she stepped out of the cage. She wore only a torn gray shift, stained and dirty. The translator collar around her neck looked heavy and uncomfortable. The merchant attached a restraint cord to the collar. Here, leash for transport. She not run away now. Ethan took the cord, hating every second of this. The Talvexian looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. She did not resist. She had learned not to resist. Also, the merchant added, you have 24 hours to file consumption report or you pay fine. Regulations. Understood, Ethan said. He gently tugged the cord. Come on. The Talvexian followed him silently through the marketplace. Other merchants and shoppers glanced at them but showed no interest. This was normal here. Beings bought and sold every day. No one cared. Ethan walked quickly back to his ship. The Talvexian struggled to keep up with his longer stride. He slowed down, feeling guilty. When they reached the Wanderer, he led her up the boarding ramp. The airlock closed behind them with a hiss. They were alone now inside his ship. Ethan immediately removed the restraint cord from her collar. The Talvexian flinched when he reached for her neck, clearly expecting pain. It's okay, Ethan said softly. I'm not going to hurt you. She stared at him but said nothing. Her body was tense, ready to run or fight despite her weakness. Ethan stepped back, giving her space. Vera, seal the ship. Prepare for departure. Acknowledged, Captain, the AI responded. Departure sequence initiated. The Talvexian's eyes darted around, looking for exits, for threats. She was in survival mode. Ethan recognized it from his military days. He had seen soldiers with that same look after terrible battles. My name is Ethan, he said, keeping his voice gentle. What's your name? She hesitated for a long moment. Lyra, she whispered through the translator collar. Her voice was soft and musical, despite the mechanical distortion. Lyra, Ethan repeated. Okay. Lyra, I need you to sit down. We're leaving the station. She did not move. She kept watching him with those large, suspicious eyes. Ethan sighed. He moved to his captain's chair and sat down, making himself less threatening. I know you're scared. I know you don't trust me. That's okay. But I promise you, I didn't buy you to hurt you. Then why? Lyra asked. Her voice cracked. Why you buy me? Because I couldn't leave you there, Ethan said simply. Lyra's ears flattened against her head. Everyone has reason. What you want from me? The question broke Ethan's heart. She had been so badly treated that kindness seemed impossible to her. She was waiting for the trap, for the real purpose to reveal itself. I don't want anything from you, Ethan said. I just want to get you somewhere safe. Nowhere safe for me, Lyra said bitterly. My family sell me. Galaxy let me be sold. What is safe? She had a point. Ethan did not have a good answer. He stood and moved toward the small galley area of his ship. Lyra tensed and backed away. Her back hit the wall and she looked trapped. I'm just getting food, Ethan said, showing his empty hands. You must be hungry. He opened a storage compartment and pulled out a protein bar and a pouch of water. He placed them on the floor between them and stepped back. Lyra stared at the food. Her stomach growled loudly. But she did not move toward it. It's not poisoned, Ethan said. I promise. Still she did not move. The ship's engines hummed as Vera began the departure sequence. Zelvora station fell away outside the viewports. They were leaving, heading into open space. After several minutes, Lyra's hunger won over her fear. She dropped to her knees and grabbed the protein bar. She ate it desperately, shoving it into her mouth so fast she almost choked. The water followed quickly. Ethan watched her with sadness. When had she last eaten? Days. Weeks. When the food was gone, Lyra looked up at him. Tears ran down her furry cheeks. Why you do this? She asked again. Humans not kind. Humans practical. Why you waste money on me? Ethan sat down on the floor, making himself her height. Not all humans are the same. And you're not a waste of money. You're a person. Lyra shook her head. I am cargo. Papers say so. I am perishable goods. The papers are wrong, Ethan said firmly. Legal doesn't mean right. She studied his face for a long time. Ethan let her look. He had nothing to hide. Where you take me? Lyra finally asked. Away from here, Ethan said. There are territories where those laws don't apply. Where you'll be protected. It'll take time to get there, but we'll make it. And then? And then you'll be free. Lyra laughed, but it was a hollow sound. Free. I not know what that means anymore. Ethan stood and pointed to a door. That's the spare quarters. You can sleep there. There's a shower. Clean clothes in the storage locker. The door locks from the inside. You'll be safe. Lyra looked at the door, then back at him. You not lock me in? No. You're not a prisoner. She stood slowly, her legs still shaking. She walked toward the quarters like she expected the floor to disappear beneath her. At the door, she stopped and looked back at Ethan. "I not understand you," she said quietly. "You don't have to," Ethan replied. "Just rest. We have a long journey ahead." Lyra nodded and disappeared into the room. Ethan heard the lock click from inside. He did not blame her. He returned to his captain's chair and stared out at the stars. Vera's voice broke the silence. "Captain, I must point out that you have violated several regulations regarding cargo transport." "I know, Vera. You also spent half our emergency funds." "I know. And we are now harboring what some systems would consider stolen property." Ethan smiled grimly. "I know all of that, Vera. Plot a course for Terran Coalition space. Best speed." "Acknowledged, Captain." Course plotted. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, Ethan thought about the frightened Talvexian locked in his spare quarters. She did not trust him. She thought he had some hidden purpose. Maybe with time he could prove her wrong. Maybe he could help her remember what freedom felt like. Or maybe he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Either way, there was no turning back now. 3 days passed before Lyra spoke more than a few words to Ethan. She stayed in her quarters most of the time, only coming out when she thought he was asleep. Ethan knew she was taking food from the galley at night. He made sure to leave easy meals where she could find them. On the 4th morning, Ethan knocked gently on her door. "Lyra? I have a medical kit. I noticed you're hurt. Can I help?" Silence. Then after a long pause, the lock clicked. The door opened slightly. Lyra peered out, her large eyes cautious. "I not need help," she said. Ethan could see cuts on her arms through the gap in the door. Some looked infected. "Those wounds need cleaning. They could get worse." Lyra's ears flattened. She did not want to be vulnerable. But finally she opened the door wider and stepped out. She wore clean clothes now from his storage locker, a simple shirt and pants that were too big for her small frame. Ethan sat at the small galley table and opened his medical kit. "Sit down. Please." Lyra sat across from him as far away as the table allowed. She watched his every movement like a trapped animal. Ethan moved slowly, showing her each item before he used it. Antiseptic spray. Clean bandages. Healing gel. He reached for her arm. She pulled back instinctively. "I won't hurt you," Ethan said quietly. "I promise." Lyra took a shaky breath and extended her arm. Her whole body was tense. Ethan cleaned the cuts carefully. She winced but did not cry out. He noticed scars on her wrists, old marks from restraints. His jaw tightened with anger at whoever had done this to her. "There," he said when he finished. "That should heal better now." Lyra looked at the clean bandages on her arms. "Thank you," she whispered. It was the first time she had thanked him. Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. Progress. Over the next week, Lyra began spending more time outside her quarters. She would sit in the corner of the bridge while Ethan worked. She never spoke unless he asked her a question. But she was there watching, learning to feel safe. One afternoon, Ethan was struggling with the ship's hydroponic garden. The plants were dying and he could not figure out why. He had never been good with plants. "You do it wrong," a soft voice said behind him. Ethan turned. Lyra stood there looking at the wilting vegetables. She stepped closer, examining the plants with focused eyes. "The pH is too high," she said. "And nutrient mix is wrong. These plants need different balance." "You know about plants?" Ethan asked, surprised. Lyra nodded slowly. "I study xenobotany. Before." She trailed off, not finishing the sentence. "Before your family sold you," Ethan said gently. Lyra's ears drooped. "Yes. I was in university. Almost finished degree. Then my family's debts grow too large. They have no choice. Or so they say." Ethan felt anger rise in him again. Not at Lyra but at a universe that let such things happen. "Can you fix the garden?" Lyra looked surprised by the question. "You want me to fix it?" "If you know how, yes. I'm terrible with plants." For the first time, Ethan saw something other than fear in Lyra's eyes. Interest. Purpose. She moved to the control panel for the hydroponics and began adjusting settings. Her movements were confident, skilled. "This take few days to show improvement," she said. "But plants will recover." "Thank you," Ethan said. "Really? I've been worried about losing our fresh food supply." Lyra looked at him strangely. "You thank me?" "Of course. You helped me." "I am cargo," Lyra said, but there was less conviction in her voice now. "Cargo not get thanked." "You're not cargo," Ethan said firmly. And I'll keep saying that until you believe it. Something changed in Lyra after that day. She began helping around the ship without being asked. She fixed the hydroponics completely. She organized the storage areas. She even found a malfunction in the air recycling system that Ethan had missed. 2 weeks into their journey, they sat together in the galley eating dinner. Real dinner with fresh vegetables from the now thriving garden. It was the first time they had shared a meal while both were awake. "Why you leave military?" Lyra asked suddenly. Ethan looked up, surprised. She had been asking him small questions lately, learning about him. But this felt deeper. "How did you know I was in the military?" he asked. "The way you move. The way you check exits. The scars on your hands." Lyra pointed to the burn marks on his knuckles. "You were soldier." Ethan set down his fork. "Yeah. I was a combat medic. Served for 8 years. Why you leave?" Ethan was quiet for a long time. He had never talked about this with anyone, not even Vera. But Lyra watched him with those understanding eyes, and somehow it felt safe to share. "I lost people," he said finally. "Soldiers I was supposed to save. There was a battle on Torrens 7. Ambush. My squad got hit hard. I tried to save everyone, but I wasn't fast enough. 3 people died while I was working on someone else. I had to choose who to save first, and I chose wrong." Lyra's ears tilted forward, a sign of sympathy in Talvexian body language. "You saved some, yes? 5 out of 8. Then you did good." "I could have done better," Ethan said bitterly. "If I had been smarter, faster, better trained. Those 3 might still be alive." Lyra reached across the table. She hesitated, then gently touched his hand. It was the first time she had initiated physical contact. "You are one person. Not God. One person cannot save everyone." Ethan looked at her small hand on his. "I know that in my head. But my heart doesn't believe it." "Is that why you save me?" Lyra asked softly. "To make up for the ones you not save?" The question hit hard because it was partially true. Ethan had asked himself the same thing many times over the past weeks. "Maybe at first," he admitted. "But not anymore. Now I just want to help you because you deserve help. Because you're a good person who got dealt a terrible hand." Lyra pulled her hand back and looked down at her food. "In Talvexian culture we have saying. Honor is not what happens to you but what you do with what happens. My family sell me, I lose all honor. Nothing I do can change that." "That's not true," Ethan said. "You survived. You kept your intelligence, your skills, your kindness. That takes more honor than I can imagine." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "You not understand. In my culture, family is everything. They choose to sell me instead of find other way. That means I have no worth to them. If I have no worth to them, I have no worth at all." "They're wrong," Ethan said firmly. "Your worth isn't determined by what your family did. It's determined by who you are." A tear rolled down Lyra's furry cheek. "I want to believe that." "Then believe it. You fixed my garden. You found the air system problem. You make this ship run better. That's worth. That's value. And it has nothing to do with your family." Lyra wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "You very strange human, Ethan Cole. I'll take that as a compliment." For the first time since he had met her, Lyra smiled. It was small and uncertain, but it was real. "Maybe it is compliment. Maybe not. I still deciding." Ethan laughed. Actual humor from Lyra felt like a victory. Over the following days they talked more. Lyra told him about Talvex Prime, about the beautiful forests and the singing cities. She told him about Talvexian music and art, about their complex family structures and honor codes. Her face lit up when she talked about her planet, and Ethan saw the person she had been before everything went wrong. In return, Ethan shared stories from his travels. Funny incidents in strange ports. Weird aliens he had met. Near disasters that turned into adventures. He made her laugh, and each laugh felt like healing. One evening, Lyra was working in the hydroponics bay. Ethan found her there, talking softly to the plants. It was a Talvexian custom, she had explained once. Plants grew better when you spoke to them with kindness. "Lyra?" Ethan said from the doorway. She looked up. "Yes. I just wanted to say thank you. For everything you do around here. And for trusting me enough to stay." Lyra set down her tools and walked over to him. She looked up at his face, studying him carefully. "You saved my life, Ethan. More than that, you give me back myself. How I thank you for that." "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do. In Talvexian culture, life debt is serious thing. I owe you everything." "You don't owe me anything," Ethan insisted. "We're just 2 people helping each other. That's what friends do." Lyra's ears perked up. "Friends? If you want to be. She smiled again, that small beautiful smile. Yes. I think I want that. I think I want to be friends. As she returned to her plants, Ethan felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. Not just for Lyra's future but for his own. Maybe saving her was saving him too. Maybe they were both finding their way back to who they were meant to be. The alarm woke Ethan from a deep sleep. Red lights flashed throughout the ship. Vera's calm voice filled the bridge. Captain, incoming transmission. Priority alert. Ethan stumbled to the command console, still half asleep. He had been dreaming about home, about Earth. The chronometer showed it was 3 a.m, ship time. Vera, what is it? 3 vessels approaching at high speed. They are hailing us. Ethan's military instincts kicked in immediately. He was fully awake now. Put it through. The screen flickered to life. A Krelian face appeared, but not the merchant from Zelvora. This one wore the black uniform of station security. His 4 arms crossed over his chest in a gesture of authority. Human vessel wanderer, this is Zelvora Syndicate enforcement. You have stolen property belonging to our organization. Return the Talvexian cargo immediately or face consequences. Ethan's blood ran cold. He had known this might happen, but he had hoped they would not care about one lost piece of merchandise. He had been wrong. I don't know what you're talking about, Ethan said, trying to sound confused. I have no stolen property. Do not lie, human. Our merchant filed complaint. You purchased Talvexian female designated for high-value client. Client very angry. Client pay us much money to retrieve his purchase. You return her now, we let you go free. Behind Ethan, a door hissed open. Lyra stepped onto the bridge, her eyes wide with fear. She had heard everything. They come for me, she whispered. Ethan muted the transmission. Get to the engine room. I might need you to reroute power on my command. Ethan, they have 3 ships. We have 1 small trading vessel. We cannot fight them. I know. That's why we're going to run. He turned back to the screen and unmuted it. The Talvexian was legally purchased. I have the documents. The Krelian's face twisted with anger. Documents say cargo for consumption. You not consume. You break contract. Property must be returned. She's not property, Ethan said through gritted teeth. Galactic law says different. You have 2 minutes to prepare for boarding or we open fire. The transmission cut off. Ethan immediately started plotting an escape route. 3 ships against 1. They were bigger, faster, and armed. His small trading vessel had minimal shields and no weapons. This was going to be close. Vera, best speed to the nearest asteroid field. The Kalros belt is 17 minutes away at maximum velocity. However, our pursuers will intercept us in 12 minutes. Then we need to be creative. Lyra, get to the engine room now. Lyra ran. Ethan pushed the engines to full power. The Wanderer lurched forward, but the 3 syndicate ships matched his speed easily. They were closing the distance. Vera, evasive pattern alpha. Random intervals. The ship began weaving through space, changing direction unpredictably. It bought them time but not much. Energy blasts streaked past the viewports. Warning shots. They're targeting our engines, Captain, Vera reported. Next volley will not be a warning. Ethan's hands flew over the controls. He had flown combat missions before, but always in military vessels with real weapons and shields. This was different. This was a cargo ship trying to outrun warships. The comm crackled. Lyra's voice came through. Ethan, I am in engine room. What you need? Stand by. When I give the word, I need you to dump all power from life support into the engines. It'll give us 1 burst of speed. That dangerous. We lose air recycling. We'll only need 30 seconds. Can you do it? Pause. Then, yes. I can do it. More energy blasts hit their shields. The ship shook violently. Alarms blared. They were taking damage now. Shields at 40%, Vera announced. The asteroid field loomed ahead. The Kalros belt was a graveyard of broken planets, thousands of rocks spinning through space. It was incredibly dangerous to navigate. Ships got crushed between asteroids regularly. But it was also the perfect place to hide. 5 minutes to asteroid field, Vera said. However, shields will fail in approximately 3 minutes at current damage rate. Ethan gritted his teeth. They were not going to make it. Unless. Lyra now. Dump the power. In the engine room, Lyra's hands moved quickly over the controls. She had studied the ship's systems during their weeks together. She knew exactly what to do. Transferring power in 3, 1, and now. The Wanderer shot forward like it had been fired from a cannon. The sudden acceleration pressed Ethan back into his seat. The pursuing ships fell behind, surprised by the burst of speed. But it could not last. Already Ethan could feel the air growing stale. They had maybe a minute before they would need life support back. Entering asteroid field, Vera announced. Rocks the size of buildings surrounded them. Ethan's hands danced over the controls, weaving between the asteroids. One wrong move and they would be smashed to pieces. Behind them, the syndicate ships entered the field more cautiously. Lyra, restore life support. Now. Working on it. A massive asteroid loomed ahead. Ethan banked hard to the left. The ship scraped against a smaller rock, sending sparks flying. More alarms. More damage. The comm crackled. Life support restored. But Ethan, I see something here. Old readings and system. There are plants growing on some asteroids here. Big plants. Ethan's mind raced. Plants in an asteroid field? That was unusual. But wait. Which asteroids? Can you identify them? Sending coordinates to your screen now. Numbers appeared on Ethan's display. He saw the pattern immediately. Certain asteroids were marked with organic readings. If there were plants, they must be producing something that masked sensor readings. Vera, plot a course through the asteroids with organic readings. Tightest possible path. That route will bring us dangerously close to collision multiple times. Just do it. The ship dove deeper into the belt, following the asteroids that Lyra had identified. Behind them, the syndicate ships were gaining ground again. Energy blasts struck nearby rocks, sending debris flying in all directions. Then something amazing happened. As they passed close to an asteroid covered in strange purple vegetation, the syndicate ships seemed to lose track of them. Their firing became less accurate. They are having difficulty maintaining sensor lock, Vera reported. The plant life is interfering with their tracking systems. Lyra, you genius. Ethan shouted. He steered even closer to the plant-covered asteroids. The syndicate ships fired blindly now, unable to get a clear reading on the Wanderer's position. For 20 minutes, Ethan played a deadly game of hide-and-seek among the rocks. He would hide near plant-covered asteroids, then dash to the next one when the syndicate ships got close. Lyra fed him constant updates on which asteroids had the strongest organic readings. Finally, they emerged on the far side of the asteroid belt. The syndicate ships were still inside searching. Vera, what's our status? Shields at 18%. Hull breaches on decks 2 and 3, sealed by emergency bulkheads. Engine efficiency at 72%. We have sustained significant damage but remain operational. Ethan checked his navigation charts. His heart nearly stopped when he saw what was ahead. A wormhole. An unstable wormhole marked with danger warnings. Captain, I must advise against entering that wormhole, Vera said. Probability of successful transit is only 43%. What's on the other side? If the charts are correct, it exits in Terran Coalition space. Terran Coalition space. Where Earth's laws applied. Where slavery was absolutely illegal. Where Lyra would be protected. Ethan looked at the swirling vortex of the wormhole. 43% chance of survival. But behind them, the syndicate ships were emerging from the asteroid field. The comm crackled. Ethan? Lyra's voice was scared. What we do? He thought about the 3 people he had failed to save on Torrin 7. He thought about the choice he had made that day, trying to save everyone and losing some. He would not make that mistake again. Lyra, get to the bridge. Strap into the co-pilot seat. Why? Because we're going through that wormhole and I want you next to me when we do. Lyra appeared moments later. Her fur was standing on end, a sign of extreme stress. But she sat down and fastened the safety harness without question. She trusted him. You know this crazy, yes? She said. Completely crazy, Ethan agreed. But it's the only way to keep you safe. She reached over and took his hand. Her small fingers squeezed his. Then we be crazy together. Ethan smiled and squeezed back. Then he pushed the throttle forward. Vera, all power to forward shields. Everything you've got. Acknowledged. Entering wormhole in 5, 4, 3. The syndicate ships realized what they were doing. Energy blasts filled space around them, trying to destroy them before they could escape. 2, 1. The Wanderer plunged into the wormhole. Reality twisted. Colors that had no names swirled around them. The ship groaned and shook like it was being torn apart. Ethan held tight to the controls. Lyra held tight to his hand. For what felt like hours but was probably only seconds, they were suspended between spaces, between moments. Ethan could not tell up from down. The instruments went crazy. Vera's voice distorted and stretched. Then, with a violent lurch, they were through. Normal space surrounded them again. Stars. Planets. And on Ethan's sensors, the welcome sight of Terran Coalition patrol ships. Vera, where are we? Terran Coalition space. Sector 7. The wormhole has collapsed behind us. The Syndicate ships cannot follow. Ethan let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. Lyra was crying, tears of relief running down her furry cheeks. We made it, she whispered. We actually made it. Yeah, Ethan said, suddenly exhausted. We did. A new transmission came through. A human face appeared on screen, wearing the uniform of the Terran Coalition Navy. Unidentified vessel, this is Coalition Patrol Ship Defender. You just came through an unstable wormhole. Are you in need of assistance? Ethan looked at Lyra. She nodded. Yes, Ethan said. We need help. And we have a lot to report. Coalition Station Meridian was the largest human station in Sector 7. It floated in space like a massive wheel, spinning slowly to create artificial gravity. The Wanderer limped toward it, damaged but still flying. Coalition patrol ships escorted them in, making sure they were safe. Ethan guided his ship into a docking bay. Medical teams and security personnel waited on the platform. As soon as the airlock opened, people rushed forward. We have injured? A medic asked, scanning them with a device. No injuries, Ethan said. But we need to speak with someone in authority. It's important. A security officer stepped forward. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Her uniform showed the rank of commander. I'm Commander Sarah Okonkwo. The patrol ship reported you came through an unstable wormhole running from something. What's going on? Ethan looked at Lyra. She stood beside him, her ears flat with nervousness. Being surrounded by so many humans clearly scared her. But she took a deep breath and stepped forward. I need asylum, Lyra said clearly. I am Talvexian. I was sold as livestock on Zelvora Station. This human saved me. Now people chase us to take me back. Commander Okonkwo's face hardened. Sold as livestock? That's illegal under coalition law. Not illegal everywhere, Ethan said. There are loopholes. Species without council representation can be classified as animals in certain sectors. It's technically legal there. The commander's jaw tightened. Come with me. Both of you. We need to document this properly. They were taken to an office deep inside the station. The room was clean and official with the coalition flag on one wall. A recording device sat on the table. Commander Okonkwo activated it. This is an official asylum interview, she said. Please state your name and species. My name is Lyra. No family name anymore. I am Talvexian from Talvex Prime. Tell me everything that happened. Lyra talked for over an hour. She told them about her family's debts, about being sold to the merchant on Zelvora Station. She described the cages, the smell of fear, the other beings waiting to be slaughtered. Her voice shook when she talked about the translator collar calling her perishable goods. Then she talked about Ethan. How he had come back for her. How he had spent half his savings to buy her freedom. How he had treated her with kindness and respect when she expected cruelty. Ethan added his own testimony. He provided the purchase documents, the contracts he had been forced to sign. He explained about the syndicate pursuit and their desperate escape through the wormhole. Commander Okonkwo listened to everything with growing anger. When they finished, she turned off the recording device. This is one of the most disturbing things I've heard in 20 years of service, she said. I'm granting your asylum request immediately, Lyra. As of this moment, you are under coalition protection. No one can take you anywhere against your will. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. I am free? Really free. Really free. And Captain Cole, you did the right thing. A difficult thing, but the right thing. Ethan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. They had made it. Lyra was safe. Over the next 3 days, coalition officials interviewed them multiple times. Investigators arrived from Earth specifically to document the case. Lyra's story was recorded, verified, and added to official records. Ethan provided all the evidence he had gathered. On the 4th day, Commander Okonkwo called them back to her office. She looked pleased. I wanted to update you both, she said. Your testimony has triggered a full investigation. The coalition is filing formal protests with the Galactic Council about these loopholes. We're also sending diplomatic teams to Talvex Prime to offer support and potentially sponsorship for council membership. Will it help? Lyra asked quietly. It will take time, but yes. Your case has made people pay attention. Sometimes one person's story can change everything. Lyra looked down at her hands. Other Talvexians still in cages. Still waiting to die. I know, the commander said gently. And we're going to do everything we can to help them. But change doesn't happen overnight. What you both did started something important. After the meeting, Ethan and Lyra walked through the station's observation deck. Through the massive windows they could see stars and ships coming and going. It was peaceful here, safe. What you do now? Lyra asked. Your ship damaged. You spend all your money. You have problems because of me. Ethan shook his head. Not because of you. Because I chose to help. There's a difference. Still, you lose so much. I gained more than I lost, Ethan said. He meant it. The nightmares about his failed soldiers had stopped. For the first time in years he felt like he had done something truly good. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Coalition offer me resettlement. They find me place to live, help me finish university degree. They say I can start new life. That's wonderful, Ethan said, trying to sound happy. He would miss her though. The ship felt like home with her there. But I not want that, Lyra continued. Ethan looked at her, surprised. What do you want? Lyra turned to face him. Her large eyes were serious. I want to stay with you. On your ship. As crew member. Real crew member, not cargo or debt. Partner. Lyra, you don't owe me anything. You can have a normal life now. University, career, everything you lost. I know I not owe you. That not why I ask. Lyra's ears stood straight up, a sign of determination. I like being on ship. I like fixing things, growing plants, exploring space. I like working with you. We make good team. Ethan's heart swelled. We do make a good team. Also, Lyra added with a small smile, someone need to keep you from killing hydroponics again. Ethan laughed. That's fair. So you really want to join my crew? Officially? Yes. If you have me. Of course I'll have you. But there's one condition. Lyra's ears tilted with curiosity. What condition? Equal partnership. Equal share of profits. Equal say in decisions. You're not working for me, you're working with me. Lyra's eyes went wide. Equal. But is your ship? It'll be our ship. If we're going to do this, we do it right. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised Ethan. She hugged him. It was the first time she had initiated such contact. Her small arms wrapped around him, and he could feel her shaking slightly. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. For seeing me as person when Galaxy saw me as meat. For giving me back my life. Ethan hugged her back carefully. You gave me back something too. You reminded me why I became a medic in the first place. To help people. To make a difference. They stood like that for a moment, two people from different worlds who had found family in each other. The next week was busy. The Coalition repaired the Wanderer free of charge, calling it compensation for Ethan's humanitarian actions. They upgraded some systems too, including better shields and a larger hydroponics bay for Lyra's work. Lyra was officially registered as crew member and granted Coalition citizenship. She chose to keep just her first name, leaving her family name behind. It was a fresh start. On their last day at the station they prepared for departure. Lyra stood on the bridge in a proper crew uniform that the Coalition had provided. She looked confident now, nothing like the terrified being Ethan had found in that cage. Commander Okonkwo came to see them off. Where are you headed? We have some trade routes to run, Ethan said. Need to rebuild our finances. And, Lyra added, we think maybe we explore more. Look for others who need help. Universe is big. Maybe there are other people trapped like I was. The commander smiled. That's a good mission. The Coalition will provide you with contacts and resources. We could use people like you out there doing the right thing. She handed Ethan a data chip. This contains information about known trafficking operations and legal loopholes we're working to close. Not official Coalition business, you understand. But if you happen to be in those areas and happen to notice things. Ethan understood. The Coalition couldn't officially operate outside their territory, but independent traders could go anywhere. We'll keep our eyes open. Good luck, Captain Cole. And Lyra, it was an honor to meet you. Your bravery is inspiring. Lyra's ears perked up with pride. Thank you, Commander. As they walked back to their ship, Lyra said, You know this will be dangerous, yes? Looking for people to help. Making enemies of traffickers. I know, Ethan said. Are you okay with that? More than okay. I spend my whole life being afraid. Now I want to be brave. Want to help others like you help me. They reached the Wanderer. Their ship. Their home. Lyra ran her hand along the hull affectionately. Strange how life works. Few weeks ago I wait to die in cage. Now I have purpose again. A friend. Have future. The galaxy needs more stories like yours, Ethan said. Stories of hope. They boarded the ship and prepared for departure. Vera's voice welcomed them. Welcome back, Captain. Welcome back, Lyra. All systems ready for departure. Lyra's not just crew, Vera, Ethan corrected. She's co-captain now. Update your protocols. Acknowledged. Welcome, co-captain Lyra. Lyra beamed with happiness. She sat in the co-pilot chair that was now officially hers. Together they worked through the pre-flight checklist. As the Wanderer undocked from Coalition Station Meridian and headed into open space, Ethan looked over at Lyra. She was reading navigation charts, planning their route. She had come so far from that terrified being in a cage. Hey, Lyra? Yes. I'm glad you chose to stay. She smiled at him, that beautiful smile that meant she felt safe and happy. Me too. We do good things together, I think. Help people. Make difference. Yeah, Ethan agreed. We will. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, carrying them toward new adventures. Behind them, Coalition investigators were already working to close the loopholes that had allowed Lyra's suffering. Ahead of them, an entire galaxy waited. Two people from different worlds brought together by compassion. One had been saved from death. The other had been saved from guilt and purposelessness. Together they would show the galaxy what it meant to see people as people, not property. Together they would prove that one act of kindness could change everything. The stars stretched before them, full of possibilities and hope. And they flew toward them, partners and friends, ready for whatever came next.